Genesis chapter 2, verses 21 to 23. Say, so the Lord caused the man to fall into a deep sleep. Some men are still sleeping. Say, wake up. Say, wake up. While the man slept, the Lord took out one of the man's ribs and closed up the opening. Then the Lord made a woman from the rib, and he brought her to the man. At last, the man exclaimed, this one is bone from my bone and flesh from my flesh. She will be called womb man. The man with a womb, because she was taken from me. Now, he didn't say womb man. I just like saying it that way. Let's do this. Loving the stranger. The point one I wanted to say is, let's be clear on one thing. We used to say that God created the woman while the man was sleeping. That's not true. The Bible didn't say that. When you look at this, there's nothing that says that. We just assumed. Now, of course, it might have created the woman while the man was sleeping, but he didn't say that here. He said the man slept and God took what he needed out of the man. He didn't say when the man was sleeping while the woman was being created. Okay? Say, I hear. So let's settle that one first so that you know I can preach. So that's the end of my message today. Any other thing I say, take it. But let's move quickly. Then did you notice also that the first relationship for man and the woman was with God first? Before Adam met Eve, he knew God, correct? And before Eve met Adam, she knew God. Are you here with me? Which means God is trying to say that your relationship with your spouse or with any man is meant to flow from your relationship with him. The problem is that most of us don't have a relationship with God, but we want to have a good relationship with our spouse. You see, the best of relationship with your spouse will only flow when you have relationship with God first. We've always got it the other way around. We try to invest in our relationship with our spouse, which is good. But you see, until you invest in your relationship with God, you will have things that are missing in your life and in your relationship. The first relationship was Eve woke up and saw God. I could imagine, because the Bible said that God was bringing Eve to meet with Adam. I could imagine that the first thing that God would tell Eve was, look, Eve, I've created you in relationship with God. Why you need to focus on relationship with God was, the first thing was, I could imagine God telling Eve, I have created you as a helper. Telling Eve about herself. Because when you focus on your relationship with God, God will spend time telling you about yourself and about your mission, about what you are meant to do in life, why you are here. Are you with me? Yeah. And I could imagine God telling Eve and saying, look, I've created you as a helper. To help, this is what you are good at. This is what you're not good at. This is where you help him. This is where you cannot help him. Okay? Then I could imagine, though, that while they were walking to go and meet Adam, I could imagine Eve saying, is that my Adam? And God would say, no, that's a dog. Adam called that thing a dog. You see, because God will be able to tell Eve also about Adam. Most of the time, because we are trying to figure out our spouse on our own, we are missing it. Unless you connect to the one that knows your husband before you knew him, you're going to be in trouble and misinterpret who they are. Are you with me? I could imagine that when God brought the woman to the man, then the God that created both of them, that knew their past and knew their purpose and knew their future, was going to introduce them and tell them what their roles are, what they were meant to do, so that they do not compete with authority. You see, because when God was creating both of them, he created them as equal partner. God wants you to have a relationship with him first before your relationship with your spouse can be strong. Are you with me? Your third point, and I'm going to move quickly, is that you guys are not yet introduced to yourself. The third point is this. If you are going to marry, if you are married, you will always marry a stranger. Actually, you are still married to a stranger. You think you know your spouse, but you can never really know your spouse. Please sit down. Before Eve was introduced to Adam, Adam had experiences that Eve would never understand. Had experiences that Eve would never understand. What do I mean? You see, before Eve was created, Adam knew what it meant to be alone. Adam knew what it meant for the animals to be nameless. When he couldn't know which one was which, we couldn't call lion and he just say, you, hey, you come. They didn't have names. You know that. Adam knew how to walk alone. Adam knew things that Eve never experienced, because when Eve was created with companionship already existed. You think you know your spouse, so you treat them based on what you think you know instead of discovering who they are. Are you still here with me? In reality, our experiences make who we are. Are we together? Open it. Yes. So, what I said, let's talk about food. Let's talk about food, for example. If she can be fast and eat. Come on, eat. So she's eating. All she's doing is drinking water, right? Water is good, healthy. That's who she is, healthy. This one is busy eating sugar, malted biscuit with Coca-Cola. We're not branding. We're not publicizing. But, you see, the moment they are both introduced to themselves, if you think you are just meeting the person you're saying, you are making a mistake, because you are meeting the Coke they drank yesterday, which gave them hyper energy, correct? You are meeting the biscuit, which has affected their health, but they do not yet know. Are you with me? While if she's eating healthy, when they are introduced to each other, while she's healthy, she assumes that he's healthy and interacts with him based on his healthiness, not realizing that she's meeting poison. Now, what am I trying to say? Each of us have our histories that make who we are, our pains of the past, our victories of the past, our successes and failures of the past, our struggles of the past, of the abuse that we enjoyed or we suffered, whether it's physical, emotional, abuse that we went through when we were growing up. You don't understand what I'm trying to say. If you met your spouse when they were 20 years old, that means for 20 years of their life, they had experiences that you know nothing about, that you never know anything about, that you never experience. So when you were being introduced to them, you were meeting them with their experiences, and yet you think you know them. Are you here with me? So that means there are 20 years of gap in your knowledge of who they are. Are you still here with me? Say, I married a stranger. Now, please come close together. The other challenge is this. Even while we are here and we are growing up together, we are changing every day. Every time, every moment, we are changing. Even while you are under the sound of my voice, you've just changed. Why? Because the words you hear change you. Some for good, some for bad. Oh, you know you change because you change your skin while you're here. We just changed. Every time we are always changing, but we change differently. That means the person you knew some minutes ago before you came to church is different from the person that is here beside you. Are you still here with me? Are you still agreeing so far? So, you married a stranger. If we are always changing, that means our emotions cannot be the basis for a good marriage. Hear me. That means why we got married thinking, I love you, you love me, I feel the love, cannot be the basis why we will have a good or bad marriage. You see, because emotions is dependent on circumstances. Circumstances. That's the definition of itself. But emotion is also dependent on a lot of things that we can't point to. Emotion is affected by what you eat. True or false? So his emotion has just been affected by sugar that he took. So he's happy. Why? She's calm. She's always calm. He's always like that. If I am always changing, my emotions always change based on different variables. Even cologne. You know, cologne can change your emotions. Our feeling of being loved of loved is our emotion, the feeling. So if we base a variable, ever-changing matter, which is called emotion, as a basis of ever-changing personalities or people in the relationship, it will be too unstable. You are changing, she's changing, our emotions are changing. Do you also know that because you're always changing, your emotion, which is based on circumstances, you are not sure whether you will like the person they are changing to? Because you don't control your emotions. You cannot predict your emotions. Your emotion might be affected by weather. That means the person he was some minutes ago might not be the person you will react to properly. You just like, I don't understand. I just don't get along with him again. Because that's emotion. Are you here with me? Now, let's now talk about how do we now build this relationship? This is where I start preaching on the power of truth. Say the power of truth. The power of truth. How do you deal with a stranger? Because one of the challenges we have is that it is when we get married that we started seeing things we don't like in our spouses. Notice what Adam said. Adam said, this is the flesh of my flesh and the bone of my bone. Did you get that? Which tells me that you attract who you are in marriage, not who you want. This is the flesh of my flesh, the bone. She is a reflection of me. When he also said, this is the flesh of my flesh, the bone of my bone, what he was trying to say is this. The person I am seeing is a reflection of who I am, and my experience in this relationship is going to show me who I am. What I'm trying to say is that marriage brings out who you are. Say that again. Marriage brings out who I am. Most of the time we blame our spouse for the things we have in marriage that we don't like. You say, he made me angry. You see, he can only make you angry if you have anger in you. That's why I said they should drink this. You see, she's only eating sandwich and water. There is no amount of pressure he puts on her that will make her produce Coke. Are you here with me? We blame our spouse for what we manifest in marriage. But the reality is that what we experience in the relationship is a function of what we have in us that we have denied we have in us. They just helped us to bring them out. Some of us, we find it difficult to forgive. We hold grudge more than the devil. But we now say they are the one that caused us to be holding grudge. No, they didn't. They only helped you to bring it out. Are you here with me? Can I speak to you before I speak to your spouse? You see, because the power of truth is that in marriage relationship, your spouse is to help you to bring out the strength in you and also the weaknesses in you. Stop blaming your spouse for the weaknesses you see in you. Some of us are lazy. Said, I just don't like doing it because you don't do anything. No. You just don't like doing it yourself. If you look at John chapter 1 verse 16, it was talking about Jesus. He said, of his fullness have we all received grace in place of grace. What he was trying to say is that if you squeeze Jesus, all it will release is grace. Are you here with me? If you look at the whole of John, the book of John was explaining the graces of Jesus, what Jesus had in him. Even when he was crucified on the cross, if he had curses in him, he would have cursed. But he didn't. You, if they put you on the cross, before they even put you on the cross as the Son of God, fire, you will say fire, thunder. You will, because I know some of you will, angels will have destroyed all of them before they kill you. You will say, I will go and die myself, but I will show you that I'm the Son of God. Because you see, what we have in us is what we release. Are you here with me? No matter how much I push him and press him out, I cannot get sandwich from him. Take responsibility for your action. Because in reality, what we show in our marriage are things that we have developed over time that we didn't handle. The flaws, the stubbornness, the selfishness, the having it your own way. Laugh and just act as if it's not you that I'm talking about. Just say, yeah, you're right, you're right. Act as if he doesn't, no, he's not saying anything. At times when the pastor is preaching and he's eating you, you're like, you just like, yeah, to make sure as if it's other people that he's talking about. Just keep on laughing like that. Don't let your neighbor know that it's you I'm talking about. But this is where the problem is. This is where the problem is. Because I've spoken to you, can I speak to your spouse? Because it's loving the stranger. The problem is this. When we get married, we are shocked by the flaws we see in our spouse. We see things that we don't like, that irritates us. And then we don't know what to do. That's where the message is for today. There are 3 popular reactions to flaws that I know of. Number 1 is this. Some people just leave the marriage. I can't deal with this. Can't deal with the fact that every time he's coming to church, he's dressing like this. Because you were raised, the dress is not this. I just need to say that. But this is what I'm trying to say. When we see flaws in our spouses or in our spouse, one of the things, the first reaction is that we want to leave, want to walk away because it broke us, it disappointed us. That is the easy way out. That's not the only way. That's not the right way. The second one is a bad one. Because we see things that irritate us in our spouse, some of us decide to downscale our level of expectation in marriage, our happiness. We just learn to live with it. We are in prison on happy, sad, and morose. They're like, it will never change, she will never change, we are frustrated, so we just accept our spouse for who they are. That's not God's way. Are you here with me? The third way that I know is that people they now try to change that spouse. They're now complaining, nagging. You are so dirty. You are so lazy. You don't contribute anything. What's the value you had? We start complaining and fighting because of the things they do that we do not like. That is not the right way. Even though marriage brings out the power of truth of who we truly are, our flaws and our weaknesses, it is the power of vision that will get you to know what to do with your spouse when you see the flaws. Are you here with me? Say vision. Is that how to pronounce it in English? Say vision. Are you getting something? You see, vision by definition means seeing the end from the beginning. Correct? Vision is seeing farther from where you are. Vision is your sight, which tells you that where you are and where you're going are 2 different things. That there's a process there. Am I defining vision? You see, there's a place in the Bible, Proverbs 29, verse 18. Proverbs 29, 18, and I like it. He said, where there is no vision, the people perish. You know that place? But I like another translation. He said, where there is no vision, the people cast off restraint. They just don't have anything holding them down. I like another one. This one is good. Where there's no vision, the people run wild. Wild. I like this other one. Where there's no vision, people lose self-control. Say, I like the next one. Where there's no vision, people stumble all over themselves. The last one I got, and I marked it in red in my note. Where there's no vision, people do whatever they want. In marriage, when we don't have vision, we don't know what to do with the flaws we're seeing. We just do anything we want because we're frustrated. We react anyhow. We talk anyhow. We get upset anyhow. But I want to share with you the vision about the power of vision in marriage. Say power of vision. You see, the first thing I want you to know is this. When God is going to give you anything, He never gives you the finished product. He's always giving you the raw material. Say raw material. I know all of us like finished products. I do too. But you see, it's the people of vision that will see the pencil in a tree, the book in a tree. It's the people of vision that changes the world. Are you here with me? The reality is, anytime, any day you are praying, most of the time when you are praying, and in fact, that is the reason why most of us don't get pray. We don't see the answers to our prayer because we are looking for finished products when God is giving us raw material. You ask for food, provide us our daily bread. God gives you the garden that will produce, and you say, where is the food? Are you here with me? You're saying, God, I need money. God says, instead of money, I'll give you the power to get wealth. He gives us the raw material because it allows us to partner with him as co-creator, to be able to create what we want out of the raw material he's given us. Are you here with me? The challenge is that some of us have been blinded by the flaws we see in our spouses, such that we have no vision about any good that can come out of them. We are like, can anything good come out of Nazareth? We look at them and we're like, what can they become? They are so useless. They are worthless. They are frustrating. They are hindrance to my progress in life. But the reality is, if you have the power of vision, and I will show you today, the fault you see in your spouse is meant to see and give you purpose in your marriage. Say purpose. You see, in marriage, it's about helping each other to become better, helping each other to move further. The power of vision is what allows you to see the saint in the sinner. Because when God was looking at us, you and I, when I started, he said, we are holy, pure, and blameless, yet you live in sin. Why? Because when he's looking at you, God is not looking at what he's seeing now. He's looking at what you can become. Are you here with me? And we are his children. Today, I want to quickly, as a roundup, show you that if you know how to use the power of vision in your relationship, in your marriage, you will be happy now. Oh, no, before I go into that, let me talk about your children. Because I just saw the girl that I love so much that we're paying dowry for, Mimi. And I just thought, yeah. Unless you have vision about your children, you will raise them anyhow. Can I talk to you a little bit? We're in the United Kingdom. The princes are not raised anyhow. They are raised for the throne. They don't just watch Peppa Pig from morning till night. They don't go to any school. They don't play with any friend. They don't eat anyhow. They are raised for the throne. You are meant to raise your children based on the vision God has shown you. They will not become who God wants them to be if you raise them anyhow, if you talk to them anyhow, if you relate with them anyhow. You have the raw material. God has given you a vision. Are you raising them? That's just free of charge. You won't pay for that. Let me talk to the wives. Can I talk to the wives? Say yes. Even if you don't like, I'll talk to you. First Peter chapter 3, verses 1 to 2. That's what I want us to quickly, and you need to look at this. I want to show you the vision that God has for you as wives to see what to do with your spouses. And if you're going to get married, to see what you have to do. Now, I know they should have told you before you got married so that you can look at the raw material and the vision you have, whether they can match. You know, at times, you look at the raw material, you look at the vision, they are too far apart. You want to do babariga, but you have 1 centimeter of clothes. Is that how to say it? 1 yard. 1 yard. They are too. The raw material and the vision are too far apart. But it's too late now. You're married. Say, I'm married. If you're not, this is good for you. 1 Peter chapter 3. Now, let me show you something. Let me show you the vision before I tell you what you're meant to do. If you look at verse 2. Patrick, let's look at verse 2 of it. Verse 2. The full verse 2. Is this full verse 2? Yeah, that's it. This is what I want. Yeah. Look at what he says here. He said, this is a vision. He said, even if any obey not the word, they may be without the word, be gained by the behavior of their wives. In other words, what he's saying is that you can look at this person. They are not obeying the word. They don't look like it. Your husband does not listen to the word, does not even read the Bible, does not live the way they should live, does not provide for his own family. Your husband is sleeping around. Your husband does not lead. He's meant to be the leader, but has no iota of leadership in him. Your husband is meant to be setting examples, but they're not. He's saying, no, no, no. Don't focus on what they are not doing. Focus on what they can do. He said, they can change by you knowing what to do with them. Can you see the vision, guys? Can you see what he's saying? He's saying, by your work, you can influence your husband to the point where they are won over to your side, to your way of saying things. Do you have a vision there? The challenge with us is that between the raw material and the vision, we are so frustrated to the point where we are trying to change with words. What this place is saying is, wives, you can influence your spouses to be what you think they should be if you know how. How, though? He said, without a word, without saying anything. The power of a woman. Without saying a word. You should know that. Can I be at home in church? A prostitute would take a self-respecting man into a downtrodden hotel and get money out of him and get him to mess himself up, to sleep with a harlot that has slept with different men. How? Because she knows that without words, if she knows her power, she can win any man over. You've been trying to use what didn't work in the past. The way people grumble about your spouse. You see, your spouse is such that where they were growing up, they had to always compete with their friends to have respect. They have to be macho. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? They are not coming at home to you to try to be macho too. That wouldn't work. You see, because you are letting them, you're trying to let them compete with you at home. You're trying to fight with them the way their friends fight with them. And you think they will change? No, you will only reinforce what you don't like in them. It hasn't worked. Are you here with me? It won't work. But if you learn to do what nobody did to them, which is to affirm them, it says this. It says something about, let me see where he says it. Now, if you look at the 1 Peter 3, verse 1, that word when it says submissive, also is translated devoted. Say devoted. That also means being loyal. If you are loyal to a man, if you validate a man, that man will do anything for you. You see, a man advised me years ago and said, start studying marriages. I'm going to round up soon. Say, start studying marriages. Start seeing what make them work and what didn't make them work. One of the things that used to intrigue me is that a man will have a fine wife at home. Fine wife. And then will have a girlfriend outside that is very ugly. Girlfriends always make the man feel like a king. Wives make the man feel like a child. You see, the girlfriend will say, oh, you've come. I welcome here. No. You think she's being submissive? No. She's controlling him. What she's targeting is the money in his pocket. What she's targeting is time with her. What she's targeting is validation of her person. But she knows that if she gives him what he needs, she will get what she wants. Are you here with me? You're looking at me, I'm not spiritual. You see, that's why the Bible says, wife is the body, not the head, not the neck, the body. You see, what the Bible was trying to tell women there is this: you control the man, but you do not know. You're trying to control him. Too much biscuit. I was meant to start it at the end of the message. But this is it. What he's saying is this: without words, because of the vision, you know where you want them to go to. Influence them in a different way. Now, if you now don't do it, don't complain that your marriage is not working. Next week I'm going to talk. I can't go today. I'll talk about the power of love and the power of grace, which will help you to know how to do it. But the reality is, unless we start doing it the way God said we should do it, we won't get the result we want. We are trying to run our lives like the unbelievers run them, and we want a Christian marriage. You can't run your marriage like an unbeliever and want a believer's marriage. It's impossible. Are you here with me? Quickly, for the men. This is where we end. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 25 to 29. Ephesians chapter 5, verses 25 to 29. This is what it says. And to the husbands, you are to demonstrate love to your wives with the same tender devotion that Christ demonstrated to us. This is heavy because wives can frustrate husbands. We feel as if we are being disrespected. We feel as if we're not earning the honor we want in our own home. But he's saying, look, you can change them if you do it the way Christ did it. You see, because you and I disrespected Christ. He was the first one that created us in the first place. The life we say we have belongs to him anyway. Now, we now came to this world. We start living the way we want, without God, without hope. But instead of him sitting down on his high horse and saying, you change to me because I am God all by myself. I don't need to change. You are the one that needs to change. Unless you change, this world will not contain you and I. He could have said that. He could have said, look, unless you do what I tell you, you will not enjoy me. He could have said, look, I will be wicked to you. I will punish you. I will treat you harshly. Unless you fall in line to what I'm telling you. Christ didn't do that. What did he do? He became what we were so that we can become what he is. Are you here with me? What I'm trying to say is that he's saying, look, Christ became the very thing he didn't like so that he could teach us and make us to be what he loved. What am I trying to say is that instead of you reacting to your spouse who doesn't respect you with disrespect, with harshness, he's saying, love her. How many times in the Bible did the Bible says, I love you, fear not, I care for you, you are the apple of my eyes, in spite of the fact that you and I don't love him the way he loves us. He's saying, husband, you want a marriage that you are proud of. Start doing what your wife wants, not what you want. Or somebody says to me, but Pastor, I've been doing that. It doesn't work. No. How many times has Christ kept on blessing you, helping you, even though you still don't recognize him? Because he still has a vision that one day you will change. Look at what he said. He said that he might sanctify and cleanse her with the washing of water by the word, that he might present her to himself a glorious church, not having a spot or wrinkle. In other words, Christ has taken it as his responsibility that whatever he sees in his wife is going to be a function of his work. He's not waiting for the wife to present herself. He's waiting on nobody. He takes responsibility. Men, can I talk to you? Yeah. The reality is this. We try to force our wives to go via our way. We try to be macho in our own arm. We try to be the king. But the reality is that the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords himself did not do that. He became a slave, even though he was a king, just because that is what the woman could relate to. None of us could relate to God truly. But it came to our level where we could relate to. Yeah, women are emotional. We could never understand it. I never understand it. But he said he came to be who we are. It became relatable. That's why today you'll be singing, Jesus, I love you. Because it became what we can relate to. He's saying to every man, become what your woman can relate to so that they can become what you want. Did you get something out of it? Now let's end today. Now, next week I'm going to continue. You see, the power of truth and the power of vision does not work without the power of love and the power of grace. I will explain it properly next week.